So a while back, I was given this particular Dell Precision, and it is a very chunky boy. It is a very thick boy, as you can see, show the side profile, but it is considered a workstation laptop. So I had Linux Mint on this for a while, but it did come with a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD, and I kind of needed to move that over to my new workstation board. So what I have in here now is a 512 gigabyte NVMe SSD, and then I'm putting in a 1 terabyte hard drive. So it does have some additional backup storage. So today what I'm going to do is reinstall Linux Mint Debian Edition version 7. So this is NatePick, and welcome to my tech world. Okay, so I do have my Wi-Fi working, and let's go ahead and install Linux Mint Debian Edition. This is version 7, so this is the latest version. So we're going to go ahead and hit continue. And of course, I am English in the United States. Chicago would be correct. That is the correct keyboard layout. Of course, we're just going to do NatePick. What do I want to name this? I'm just going to name it Dell 7520. There you go. And we'll do a super secure password. And then doesn't like something. Okay, there we go. I forgot you have to do it lowercase and add a little slash because it doesn't like spaces at all. So we'll go ahead and we're going to actually use the Samsung disk that I have in here, and we're going to keep it as it is. I'm not going to change anything. Yes, we're going to do that. Yes, we're going to agree. I will say one thing, Linux Mint has absolutely made it very easy to do everything as far as like a simple install. The only thing that you really have to do, and unfortunately with my capture card, I can't show that because it doesn't display out on the HDMI, but with what happens is that you actually have to figure out how to boot the device in order to get in. Once you figure out how to boot the device, the install of this is pretty simple, and I wouldn't be surprised if actually copying the files doesn't take too long at all. So I'm just going to let it do its thing, and then we'll come back into the actual desktop once it's done and once it's installed, and we'll go from there. Okay, so it says the installation is now complete. Do you want to restart your computer and to use the new system? I'm going to hit yes. And it should also give a screen. It actually didn't do it this time. That's surprising, but I'm going to go ahead and unplug the actual media. Okay, so as you can see, we are getting started. Now I'm going to show some of the things that we do in order to get to that point. Give me 1 second. I got to log in. I don't know why it doesn't save that, hey, I want to mirror this display. There we go. Okay, so I am logged in. This is Linux Mint. The first thing it's going to do is going to give you this welcome screen. I would recommend for every new user to go ahead and hit let's go. It's going to walk you through the first steps, desktop colors. So we're going to hit launch. Obviously, I like the dark mode personally, kind of more of the darker blue. So you can do Mint L, Mint X, or Mint Y. Most people use Mint Y. I mostly do dark mode. Mint X doesn't look too bad to me, but there's only a light theme, and so yeah, I can't do the light theme. It's just too much. And then Mint L, you can do the dark theme one here. It's okay. I still think that Mint Y is actually the better option personally, so I'm just going to keep it as it is. Okay, so that was our themes. We can exit out of there. System snapshots. You can actually do snapshots with this. And so I'm going to authenticate. We can just use resync. And there is something else that I'm going to have to do. And I'm probably going to have to use, if it's installed here, It is not. I'm going to need you parted probably. There is a 1TB drive that I want to use here. So yeah, I'm going to have to, so let's go ahead and I'm going to use the terminal in this part because I want to be able to use what I need. So sudo apt update. Okay, so now that my Wi-Fi is actually on, let's go ahead and do sudo Nala. I'm going to install Nala, but I'm going to go ahead and hit sudo apt update first, actually. Okay, so obviously there's tons of packages, but I'm going to kind of do my own thing for a second. I'm not going to update it just yet, so I'm going to go ahead and install Nala because that is what I want, which is basically just a front end for apt. So instead of typing apt and getting all of this text, you can use Nala, which gives you a better looking layout. And I have found that it's pretty fast. So now let's go ahead and hit sudo Nala fetch. So basically now what it's doing is sudo Nala fetch will actually fetch any of the Debian mirrors and see which one is actually the fastest that's closer to me. Usually I will always add 1, 2, 3, and 4 just so I have some redundancies there, and then just go with that. So once it tells me that, okay, here's your fastest mirrors, that's what I will go with. Okay, so it says the top one is mirror us 1and1.net/Debian. So we'll just do 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all you have to do. Now you can do commas as well. That's just fine. So now we can do sudo Nala update. So now those mirrors will be attached to us. Okay, so it went through and went ahead and updated all the mirrors, so that's good. Now I'm going to go ahead and do sudo Nala install gparted. Okay, we're going to hit continue. And I'm just doing this real quick because I do want to go ahead and get this done real fast. So let's go ahead. And now we can do gparted. There we go. And the reason why I'm going to get into this is because I actually have some, I actually have a 1TB drive that I am going to do a new partition, and we're just going to do it as that. There we go. You hit the check mark, hit apply. Now, with this being a hard drive, it may take a little bit longer. With a 1TB hard drive, this is a laptop hard drive, so keep that in mind. Oh, that actually finished pretty quick. Sometimes it does take a little bit longer, so just keep that in mind whenever you think that it's not doing something. So we're just going to go ahead and look at this, and yeah, I am going to use the actual hard drive. Hit next. We'll do it weekly. I'm not going to do it daily. That's kind of too much. And then I'm just going to include all files, because once again, this is a 512 gigabyte SSD. I have a 1TB hard drive. That still gives me roughly around 500 gigs of extra storage that I could use. So there's that. So we can finish it. We'll go ahead and hit a create snapshot. So it's going to get the estimating file size again. And I recommend doing this. This is the one thing I don't like. The update manager just pops up in the middle of nowhere. I don't like that. I will change that eventually, but let's just go ahead and finish what I was doing here. Okay, so as you can see, we do have our snapshot and it is available. So that is done and it's good to go. So we're going to close out of here. Now I'm going to go to multimedia codecs, and I really like the fact that Linux Mint does offer this. So we're going to go ahead and install the codecs. So that way everything is ready, especially if you want to do like some kind of video editing, or even some of the photo files, or even some of, like if you're in LibreOffice and you need to have the Microsoft Word font type stuff, that stuff you have to, some distros actually include it, some don't. So you have to just keep in mind that you may have to install the additional codecs or the additional themes or additional, text or whatever, or fonts is what I'm trying to think of here. So sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. But with Linux Mint, this is the great thing about it, that it will actually go ahead and say, oh, hey, I've got the multimedia codecs if you want to be able to play this certain video format. And you're like, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So out of the box, that's a good thing. The next thing is Update Manager. Now, y'all just seen that I went into the terminal. So if I wanted to really update it the way I like to update it, then you would use the terminal. But since I'm doing this video, we're just going to hit OK. And then we're going to let it do its thing. And I'm going to hit no. Okay, so apparently there's a new version to the Update Manager. So we're going to go ahead and let that do its update. Okay, so it relaunched itself. Now it's saying that there's all these updates that need to happen. And so, with that being said, there is quite a few actually. It says 117. So all you have to do is actually just hit install updates, and this will install the updates for you. You don't really ever have to go into the terminal. Now, I am more comfortable in the terminal because I've been using Linux for years. But for someone that is new, understand, especially with Linux Mint, you do not have to go into the terminal. Would I recommend that you get used to the terminal? Absolutely, because there's a lot of powerful commands that you can use later on that if you're not familiar, you're probably going to get stuck. Especially like if you're trying to play a game, or if you're trying to figure out why, this certain program's not launching, you may have to do a little bit of tweaks to it. So yes, get comfortable in the terminal, but as a brand new user, no, you don't have to do it right away. You can just go through Linux Mint and use it as it is. And I'll be the first one to tell you, it actually pulled up my printer immediately. So that's a great thing. Like, there's no tweaks there. If I wanted to print something, I could just print it. So that's also a good plus. Okay, so it's asking for the keyboard. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish that up and let it continue. Okay, so as you can see, it is going to tell you that there is a restart required. So once again, I'm going to have to go ahead and hit restart, and you hit restart again, and you just got to let it do its thing because there was a lot of packages that were installed. So we're going to have to wait for it to restart. And a lot of times for a while, there was this misconception that you didn't have to restart Linux. That is absolutely untrue. As a matter of fact, most of the time, if you're having an issue, a simple restart will actually just fix it. So that's something that does happen. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so there we are. And since I am not going to restart this again, I'm going to go ahead and hit show this dialog on startup. I'm going to turn that off, so we go back to our first steps, and then we can look at system settings. So here is all the settings for your system that you can go in and mess with and play with and kind of use some of the stuff that's available. And also, one thing I am going to have to do is install NVIDIA drivers. So that would be something. So let's go ahead and go into the software manager. And this is the actual Linux Mint's team software application manager. So just keep that in mind. This is a way that you can install software without actually having to go use a terminal and, putting in a bunch of codes of certain commands or blah, blah, blah. You don't have to do that. You can do everything through the software manager. Now, once again, there are some things that need to be fixed as far as, if you run into an issue, a lot of the fixes will be on the terminal. So get used to it. So that's just something to think about. What I do like out of the box is it does come with, the deb packages, but it also comes with Flatpak. So like if you use Blender, if you click on Blender, you can use the system package. Okay. Also, there's a Flatpak for Blender. So if you want to go that route, you could do that, but that's just something that's available. So let's go ahead and see. So here are the drivers. So what I am going to use is the actual NVIDIA Tesla 535 driver, because I know that works really well with this particular GPU. So let's go ahead and click this, and I am going to install it. And the reason why I picked the Tesla version is because this is a Quadro, so technically it is a workstation card, and I want some of the features of the actual workstation card that is available to it to be on here. So that way, especially like if I'm doing a VM or if I'm doing video editing or any of that kind of things, there's certain settings that's in there that it will automatically just work, and you know, I can use it out of the box. Could I take a normal GPU and still use it? Yes, technically, but workstation cards are kind of more designed towards this, so it makes it a little bit easier. So having the proper driver to go with your workstation card is, I wouldn't say it's technically needed, because you can get away with the normal 530 driver, you can get away with the normal 535 driver, or if you even go up, I think it's what now, 595, I think. I'd have to go re-look it up. But irregardless, you know, those drivers are there. One of the reasons why I decided to go with Linux Mint Debian Edition is because of the support for the older drivers, which is what I need. Okay, so once again, this is going to say that the current free drivers are available, and it's kind of conflicting. So what it says is the easy way to fix this is to reboot the machine once the installation has finished. We'll hit next. So we're going to allow this to go ahead and finish installing, and then as soon as that's done, we are going to go ahead and reboot the system. There is a couple ways that you can reboot the system. I'm going to do it the way that I'm most comfortable with, so you will have to excuse me when I go back to the terminal, because that's how I work. Okay, so welcome back. I kind of cut it off there for a second because it was taking a little bit to install, which is normal for the actual NVIDIA drivers. But as you can see, it is available. So I'm going to go ahead and do this the old-fashioned way. I'm going to close this out. Once again, firewall. We'll go ahead and launch this before I do this, so that way you can see it, because I'm not going to go back in. So there you go. Getting started. So we'll go ahead and turn it on. Turn on your firewall. You do need a firewall. So I will show the rest of this. This is documentation that you can look at. Here's the help, contribute, so you can go from there. But I am not going to open this window again. Instead, I am going to, I always forget the key bindings because I'm so used to terminal. I'm so used to the terminal actually just being super T. I don't know why it has to be Control Alt T, whatever. That bothers me, so I'll change it later. Now that it's open, we're going to hit sudo reboot now. Okay, we're going to type in our password, and it will go to a reboot. So whenever it reboots, it should launch the NVIDIA drivers. And there's a way that you can check that, and I will show you in the terminal once we get back up and booted. Okay, so we are back up, and you just see nothing, just because now we are under the NVIDIA display manager, and I need to reapply. There we go, that I'm mirroring the display. So that's available. And also you can kind of go in here and check some of the stuff. I can't remember exactly where it's at. There it is. So in order to confirm it, so it's under administration, you go to the NVIDIA X server settings. So this is X11 instead of Wayland, and there you go. It says that, hey, we found your Quadro, and you have, you know, this is your driver that you have, and so everything is working. Also, another way that you can, I gotta remember this, is Control Alt T. Thank you. Is NVIDIA/SMI, and I will enlarge this so you can see it. There you go, and it'll actually tell you the same thing that you can see on the graphical side. So it does say that, hey, Your NVIDIA drivers are working. Here's your CUDA version. Everything seems to be working. The Quadro's recognized. That's all good. So 4 GB card. It's not too bad for video editing. There we go. So that's it. So the NVIDIA drivers are installed, which means that the system is ready and complete. And so what I want to do later is I'm going to add some of my tweaks to this, and I will try to do that in a video as I go along, especially like I want to install Kitty and make that my base terminal, because I've been really using Kitty a lot here lately. I can't help it. I kind of like it now. And the next thing is also fast fetch. I hate the way that fast fetch looks out of the box, so I'm going to go ahead, and I do need to go ahead and install it anyways, but I don't like the way it looks out of the box. So for me, it's going to have to be, oh, okay, it's already installed. Never mind. They include it now. Great job, Mint team. But with that being said, I am going to end it with a certain fetch that sadly is no longer supported. And I think they took it out of the repos. Neofetch. Yeah, they took it out of the repos. So here's what we got to do. We got to go manually find it and manually add it. Shut up, Firefox. You will be replaced immediately. I cannot stand Firefox. So let's do Neofetch. And we're going to go to here. Once again, it is no longer supported. So in order to add it, you have to come here and go to the releases. And as you can see, it's been a while since it's been released. Okay. So since Neofetch is no longer supported, we're going to have to do this the old-fashioned way. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead, and I'm going to do it this way just because it's what I like. It's really simple to do. Basically, you are going to copy and paste this. Oh, yep. Mint team install. That Git should be included. I'm just going to be honest with you. That should be automatically a thing. So we're going to go ahead and get Git, and we're going to rerun the command. And then we're going to cd Neofetch. Once again, we're going to copy that and paste it. And now you're just going to run the make install. I forget. Sudo make install. Make sure you do that, kids. Okay, so now we can hit CD, puts us back into home, clear, Neofetch. There you go. So as you can see, the system is up and running and everything is good the way that it needs to be. Once again, like I said, I do plan on making some tweaks to this system. I'm going to kind of use this as my way to do some more experiments on the system. But the Quadro is working. It's recognized all the memories there. The i7 is working like a peach. So everything is good, ready to go. And other than that, I'm going to close out the video. Okay, so as you can see, Linux Mint is really easy for beginners. There's a lot of great applications and tools that they already come pre-installed. So I would highly recommend that if you are a new user, to use Linux Mint or use something. I can't recommend my favorite, which is Pop! OS. I can't recommend it right now because of Cosmic. It's just not ready. And there's still a few things that they need to add to make it to where it's a full-fledged, out-of-the-box ready desktop environment. So with that being said, right now, for beginners, I would strongly recommend Linux Mint, and I think you'd be in a very good place. You'd be much happier, and you'll be able to learn Linux and move more towards, okay, I understand what I'm starting to do. And then once again, the reason why I went with the Debian edition of Linux Mint is because of the NVIDIA drivers, and which, as you've seen, it just works out of the box. So that's what I'll give you about Linux Mint. It just kind of works. So that's all I have today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until then, keep on Linuxing, keep on growing, keep on reading books, expand your knowledge, and God bless. Peace.